Hey, check this out. Microphone actually on. It should be, at least, now that I say that. Welcome into this live pregame show, Packers Saints. We are getting ready for what hopefully is a very fun game at Lambeau Field tonight. I think I'm over. I had a little bit of a tooth thing today, so I had to get lidocained up. So I think I'm good to go. But in case I look weird, it's probably not the lidocaine. It's probably a litany of other things, but it could be that. I'll just throw that out there. But great to be here. Great to be chatting with you guys. Thanks so much for being here. We'll get to as many questions as we can. Obviously, I do need to get to the game at some point, but I will chat probably for the next 45, 50, 55 minutes and get to as many questions as I can. Obviously, Luke Musgrave activated. Omar Brown. It's Omar Brown season. That's probably not a great sign for Evan Williams-ish. And I guess you could look at it from a corner standpoint that they didn't activate any corners. Now, theoretically, if Ballantyne's able to go, they really wouldn't need to bring up another one. They would still have plenty of corners, but with not having Bullard, maybe this is a sign that both Jair and Ballantyne are good to go, but Omar Brown might be a sign that Evan Williams is not good to go, which would obviously not be ideal. That would leave them with four safeties. Xavier McKinney, probably Zane Anderson is that other starter. And then Kitano Ladapo and Omar Brown would be a little bit interesting at that safety position. But still, either way, should be a fun one. The Saints don't exactly have a ton of weapons to exploit what could be a little bit of a limited Packers secondary. But maybe, just maybe, we'll get a little Jair Alexander action. We should find out here, what, about hour and 15 minutes when we get the official inactives. But again, the one thing we do know is that Luke Musgrave is going to be good to go for this game. They did bring him up off of the injured list, and he will play in this game. Probably a small amount of snaps, but still some snaps nonetheless. I'm not getting any audio not working signs, so that's a very good thing. Derek, big day today. Any Packer day is a big day. It's so funny because we talk about this, and unapologetically so, 365 days a year, right? You're guaranteed 17 of these games. So you sometimes you get a little bit more of that, but we talk 365 days for the 4.65% of the time that we actually get a game. Now, hopefully we get to 18 games, 19 games, 20 games, etc. But as of right now, this is, all we're guaranteed. Green Bay's not locked in that playoff spot yet. Hopefully that happens tonight, but it's always a big day. Again, about 4.7% of the days per year, a little bit more than that if you're in the playoffs, that we actually get to talk about an actual Packers game day. And today is one of those days. So it's a big day and it's a great day. Looks like the Toyotathon collab is official. Go Pack Go. We talked about this a little bit as to whether or not Jordan and Toyota would actually do it. To me, it's fine, whatever. We don't need to probably dig into it too much. I do think from a Toyota standpoint, you're probably, and I've talked about this before, best left it being just organic. Like, as soon as you enter yourself into the equation as Toyota, it kind of loses a little bit of its coolness, right? Like, it's like, all right, now it's corporate and whatever. But they did a good job of it originally, at least having the just ugly sweater on Instagram. Nice, simple, tasteful, and still somewhat viral. So they've done a good job so far. Let's see where it goes from here. Hopefully it's not anything over the top where all of a sudden it becomes, it's kind of like Rodgers doing the belt, and then it becomes the discount double check. And it's like, we don't need to make a thing out of it. Just let it be its own thing, but we'll see where it goes from here. But yes, it is official, and good for Jordan. Get that money. Step Keith, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate the super chat. And thanks so much for being here and chatting some Packers with us prior to the game. What is Luke coming back going to add to this Packers at this point in the season? Kind of feels like we should just stick with the good blocker Sims at this point. Well, it gives you options, right, Grant? For example, let's say red zone, and you want a more receiving tight end in the game. You want to go 2 tight end sets, and it's somebody that you want actually on a route. You're probably better off having Luke Musgrave. What about if it's a tight end that you want to get up the seam, and your choice is between Luke Musgrave or Ben Sims? All right, well, I would kind of like Luke Musgrave to be a little bit more in that situation. I think we'll see 10 to 12 snaps today from Luke Musgrave would be my guess. And you just get him reintegrated in the offense. We'll still see some Ben Sims. We'll see if we see any John Fitzpatrick or anything like that. But it just gives you another option. Just gives Matt LaFleur another potential weapon. And I trust Matt to know when to go to Ben Sims and when to go to Luke Musgrave. And they'll get his legs underneath him a little bit over the course of the next 10 to 12, like 10 to 12 snaps today over the course of the next 2 to 3 games, and see where he's at and see if he can help the team. And I think he can. I think there are instances in which you want to get him out on the field and he can be a value add for this team. Now, are we talking about somebody that's going to snipe snaps from Tucker Kraft at this point? No. Are we talking about somebody that's probably going to change the offense in any sort of significant way the remainder of the season? No. But do I like the fact that they have that option out there? A super tall, fast, and athletic tight end that they can utilize in a variety of different ways? Hell yeah. I mean, think of it this way. If you're Matt LaFleur, if you're play calling and you have a play that you want to get to your tight end, whether it's short, intermediate, or deep, to me, if the choice is between Fitzpatrick or Sims or Musgrave, and I'm trying to drop a play, yeah, give me Musgrave, or at least give me the option of Musgrave, right? So there's no downside here. I don't think this is going to affect Ben Sims in any way. I don't think anyone's losing sleep over if Ben Sims is going to get a few less snaps right at this point. Ben Sims has had a huge opportunity to go out and make a bigger impact, quite frankly. And I kind of thought he would. Now, he's a solid blocker. He's been fine. I have him as a slight positive grade on the year, so I'm not trying to disparage Ben Sims in any way, but Luke Musgrave is just a tight end at a different level than what Ben Sims is. And you get him back and you have the ability to kind of utilize him when you want to, when you need to, then awesome. No harm, no foul. And I'm excited to see what Luke Musgrave can give them in any capacity through the remainder of the season. And yes, I'm sure very much he will be on a snap count as well. Musgrave is a matchup problem if he ends up drawing a linebacker in coverage. Good to have another weapon, hopefully to soon be followed by Lloyd. And kind of same thing with Lloyd, right? Do I expect, and my guess still is, I'm not sure we see Lloyd back at any point this season. Maybe, again, activate the window to see if you can get him at least back at practice a little bit. But if he is healthy, if he is good enough to go, it's just another option. And you can never have enough good options on offense, defense, special teams, whatever it might be. And getting some of these guys back healthy just gives you a few more options. And as a coach, that's all you want. Just a few more players who can go in and give you something, even if it's something small. Listen, any incremental increase in talent that you can get at this point in the season is welcome. The difference between the games that you have remaining, especially come playoff time, is razor thin. And if Luke Musgrave can get you a touchdown in the playoffs off of a drawn up play or an ad lib play or whatever it might be, because of his great size and athleticism, that could be the difference between winning or losing a game. It could be the difference between a touchdown and a field goal in the red zone. It could be the difference between going to the NFC Championship and losing in the divisional round. It's probably nothing, right? But you never quite know. And any small incremental increase in talent and just overall ability that you get on your team, you will take it at any point, but especially at this point of year. I'm not overly concerned, but I'd be lying if I said being favored by 14.5 didn't weird me out a bunch. No stress, Ben. They got this one. No stress needed. They're going to be good. Pack needs to keep winning to avoid the 7th seed. I see Washington has the tiebreaker on them. They do. Bring on Philly. Bring on Philly. Bring on Detroit. Bring on Minnesota. Bring on whomever. Tampa, Atlanta, the Rams, the Seahawks. Don't care. Bring them all on. Make it a triple threat match. I don't know. I don't care what you need to do at this point. Bring on whoever you need to bring on. They're probably going to have to beat Detroit at some point. They're probably going to have to beat Philly at some point. I don't really care. It's wild card, divisional, conference round. Go out and beat the best teams that are out there. That's what cements you as the best team. So bring it all on. I'm totally cool for it. And like I've said in the past, I have wished for matchups in the past only for Green Bay to get that matchup and then lose that game. Be careful what you wish for. Kind of like Gandalf of like, not even the wisest can see all ends, right? And know how things are going to affect you later on. You just never quite know. Maybe you get Philly in that as the 7 seed, right? You're the 7 and Philly's the 2. And maybe Philly is massively banged up in that game where if you played them later, they would be a lot more healthy. You just never quite know. Just take whoever's in front of you and go out and play your best football and see where the cards lie. Do I want to get the 5 seed? Yes. Would I rather have the 6 than the 7? Absolutely. But if it's the 7, don't care. Bring on who's ever next. And Green Bay, go out and play your best football. That's what I want to see. Jen just wants to see a good 4-quarter game. I'm with you there. David, go Pack, go. Eagles folding late didn't help us at all. Also increase the chances of Lions getting a bye week to heal up. Sure. But again, go out and beat the best teams. That's what you got to do come playoff time. And I'm all for it. Go out and beat the best. Go Pack, go. Hope you and your family have a Merry Christmas. Thanks for all you do. Have a Merry Christmas to all the followers, and let's get this win tonight. Craig, very kind of you. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you as well, and a Happy New Year to everyone on the chat. How about a nice, relaxing victory tonight? I want bully ball from Green Bay in this one. I want a game where Green Bay just goes out and says, we're better than you, and we know it. And we're going to win by 30. Like, that's what I want to see. No foot off the gas, all gas, no break, whatever lame cliche we want to use here. That's what I want to see. Bully ball from Green Bay. Just recognizing that New Orleans is not in their league and go out and show the world on Monday Night Football right before the holidays, suck their soul out in true holiday spirit and beat the Saints into an inch of their, I don't know. We need to go any further than that, but you get my point. That's what I want to see from Green Bay in this one. Just an absolute beatdown of the New Orleans Saints. It's time. They're ready. They're good enough. Go out and beat down this team. Don't give them any chance come second half. Just make them that they want to get on that bus as soon as possible. Nate, go Pack Go. Predictions 41-10 Green Bay. That's what I'm sticking with in this one. Packers 41, Saints 10, massive victory. I could care less about what other teams did yesterday. Just continue winning, building, and ride momentum into the playoffs. We are on the same page there. Green Bay 38, New Orleans 20. Like it, Prince. Is Williams likely out with Omar getting called up or just precautionary? Tough to say for sure. My guess is that probably means that Evan's not going to play in this one. I don't know if they would have gone in that direction. Now, it could be. I'm not even going to say that. But what I was going to say was it could be that they're not sure about Evan Williams and they want to test him out on the field beforehand. And just in case he can't go, they will activate Omar and make him active for the game. And if Evan can go, then they'll deactivate Omar. Like, that's a possibility. I don't think that's a possibility in this game. Meaning, if he's to that point where you're questioning whether he should play or not, I think you're at the point where you just say, yeah, he's not going to play. My guess, if there's any sort of question here, it's just going to be, we're going to deactivate Evan Williams, not subject him to any potential injury or further injury. And they'll get by with Zane Anderson and Xavier McKinney and those guys. And it'll be a great opportunity for Zane Anderson. Could we get a couple Catano Ladapo snaps? That'd be potentially fun. But overall, they'll be fine. There's not a ton on the Saints offense that you're super worried about. So if it needs to be a Zane Anderson and Xavier McKinney day with Keyshawn in the slot and Stokes and Valentine on the outside, is that your greatest secondary you've ever put together? No. But do I think they can get by in this game against the Saints? Hell yeah. King Kermit, go Pack Go. Love it. Stepkeet, Handy, out of the possible playoff teams, who do you think has the best backup quarterback situation? The Packers. I'll very much take Malik Willis from what we've seen so far this year. So I'm trying to think what else we have here. Obviously, you've got Kenny Pickett in Philly. Who's Washington? Is it Mariota in Washington? I'd have to look at that. The Lions have Hendon Hooker. The Vikings don't have really anyone at this point. Darnold, that was supposed to be McCarthy and Donald. They don't have anyone. Malik Willis for the Packers. Not anyone in Tampa or Atlanta. Not anyone for the Rams. And obviously not Sam Howell. So, yeah, I mean, you could theoretically go Kenny Pickett. He did some nice things yesterday. I'm gonna go Malik Willis though. I'm just looking at the NFC right now, but I'm gonna go Malik Willis and the Packers. He always, you remember Brown from Nebraska, he always said, oh yeah, good player, really liked him. Redshirt sort of guy, break glass in case of emergency. You're not expecting him to come in and do anything unbelievable, but do I think he can come in and be a solid player that doesn't hurt you? Yeah. And that's kind of all you can hope for a practice squad guy that you're calling up as a rookie for his first game as an undrafted free agent, right? But I think he's a fine player. I really do. And I did very much like him coming out. Ben says pack hands down. And yes, they did move our game next week. So we're looking at 3:25, 4:25 Eastern for Packers Vikings, officially official. Merry Christmas to all the cheeseheads from Berlin. 38-10, go Pack Go. We are very much in lockstep there, Ingo. I had 41-10, so we're just a field goal difference there. Any chance we see Oladapo play a big nickel back tonight on certain packages? I don't think so, Drax. Maybe if they get up and want to try some crap out, then maybe. I don't think when the game is in the balance that we see anything like that, but crazier things have happened. I would expect this, assuming Williams doesn't play, that you're going to see a lot of Zane Anderson, Xavier McKinney at safety, Nixon in the slot with Valentine and Stokes on the outside. I think while the game is in the balance and any nickel sort of situations, that's who it'll be. And then my guess is it'll be in dime. Corey Ballantyne would come in the slot in that situation. Now that's assuming Stokes and Williams are out. Jair and Williams are out. If Jair plays, that changes things up a little bit. I even then think that you're probably only playing Jair 20, 25 snaps in this game. So they'll probably use him in only specific situations, probably more obvious passing downs. But we're just going to have to wait and see what those inactives look like and whether or not Jair plays in this one, and Williams as well. How important do you think the seeding will be for the Packers? Is getting a 5 seed going to be helpful, or is it just playing well enough to get there? The more important point. I will rather take the hot team than the team with the better seed. No question about it. But I mean, a really hot team would be beating Minnesota and beating, the Saints and beating the Bears and going on a win streak going in. And then the question would be, do you get the Minnesota loss to the Lions in that last game? And if so, then you're the 5 seed. But even if they're the 6 and they're high, I'm not super concerned about it one way or the other. I just want to see them play their best football. But I do think there's absolutely an advantage to being the 5. You probably go against Tampa or Atlanta, that 5-4 matchup. I do think that's about, I'm not saying either are going to be easy, but it's about the easiest matchup that you can get in the first round. And you feel probably most comfortable with that. And I also think that with the Vikings and Packers being in this, I think there's a world, in all honesty, I think there's a world where the Packers and the Vikings are the 2 best teams. And if that's the case, you could end up with whoever is the 5 or the 6. If it's the Packers at the 5 and the Vikings at the 6, where all of a sudden, if both those teams get through and they do end up being the best 2 teams in the NFC, then Vikings Packers is in Green Bay. Whereas if the Vikings are the 5 and the Packers are the 6 and they both make it, then it's Packers Vikings in Minnesota. Maybe somewhat unlikely, or not at least super likely, but it's not impossible. And there's a world I honestly do believe in which you could see a Vikings Packers NFC championship. And if that were to be the case, I would much rather that be played at Lambeau than in Minnesota. I don't think that's a hot take at that point. I know Green Bay does well in domes, but that crowd noise in an NFC championship atmosphere in Minnesota, that's a lot to deal with. And it's going to be the biggest game in Vikings history if that would end up being the case. Like, no question about it. I would prefer to avoid that being in Minnesota if possible. Andy, on tape, have we ever had a linebacker like Cooper? I want that jersey. No, they have not. He's different. I'm not saying he's going to be automatically better than Nick Barnett or AJ. I'm not necessarily going to say that yet. It's still very early, but there's nobody that's been on this team like Edgerrin Cooper. Simply put, no, not even remotely close. Spencer Rattler, good or nah? I liked him coming out. I legitimately do believe he can be a starting quarterback in this league. Now, probably bottom tier, probably somewhere between 20 and 30, 20 and 32, somewhere in that range eventually. I don't think he's really starting caliber yet. He's got a live arm. It's a really good arm. He can rip it. He doesn't see the field totally yet. He's got good, not great mobility. And I think if you gave him a really good offensive line and good weapons, good running game, and kind of put him in a, I don't know, sort of like Minnesota Vikings sort of situation right now, or even a Packers situation right now, where you've got kind of everything that you need to be successful, then yeah, I feel like you could probably have him be again, maybe like the 25th best quarterback, somewhere in there. Right now, as a rookie, I don't think he's quite there yet. I think he has a ways to go to kind of get to that point. But he's a solid player, and if you let him get into a rhythm, he will absolutely get in a rhythm. So don't let him get in a rhythm. I think that's the name of the game. Hopefully the pass rush is ready to play and can kind of continue where they left off against the Seahawks last week. Green Bay, Minnesota flex, short week. It's a couple hours longer. Yes, just a little bit. Minnesota will have the one-day advantage in that one. One of the very few games this year, if not the only one, where the opponent will have the rest advantage. Not a big one, but rest advantage nonetheless. Jamal Williams, revenge game. Loved him in green and gold. Yeah, that was always tough to see Jamal go, and probably should have stuck with him and not used a second-round pick on A.J. Dillon if we're having a little bit of revisionist history here. But what can you do? And, it worked out for Jamal. And, Green Bay's in a good spot with their running backs right now. So hopefully it worked out for everyone in the end. But yeah, you could make a strong argument just keeping Jamal and utilizing that second-round pick on something other than a running back on A.J. Dillon would have probably been the better way to go. But hindsight's a beautiful thing, isn't it? How do you feel about them moving our game next week? Nothing that I have to add other than it's a primetime game. It's a 325 matchup. It's a game of the week, and it's deservedly so. Two of, I think, the best 5-6 teams in the league matching up. I would think that you'd want to put that not at a noon game with all the other games, right? Like, make that a more premium game, and that's exactly what they did. 5 seed would be great if the Vikings are 6 and a surging team at 7. Yeah, again, sign me up. Personally happy about the move because I won't miss any of it. There you go, Ben. Merry Christmas, Packer fans. Merry Christmas to you too, Chris. Andy, go Pack Go from Germany. Do you think we will see more and more CV instead of Stokes if he comes up with more big plays today? Hope so. I hope so. I hope that continues to happen. But Green Bay seems pretty adamant that they want to continue to rotate Stokes and Valentine for reasons. Stokes had a pretty decent game last week. I had a slight positive grade on him. PFF even graded him higher than that. So pick your poison there. But yeah, I thought he had a pretty solid game last week. So if he can just play like that, like I'm pretty cool with it. I'm not, not completely against it, but I do think Harrington Valentine's a better corner, and I would like to see him out there far more often at this point. And love that you're checking in from Germany, by the way. See, Rogers thinks the drones on the East Coast were alien in nature. Time for a darkness retreat. I don't know what to make of that entire situation. I don't think anyone seems to at this point. I think it's probably much ado about nothing. But you know what? In 2024, literally nothing surprises me anymore. Maybe tonight's the night. Maybe that's what we get in Packers Saints is the first appearance of a non-human being right in the middle of Lambeau Field. Like, why not? If I were a being from another planet, I'd want to make my introduction at Lambeau Field. So who knows? You never quite know anymore. Times are weird. Embrace it. Go Pack Go, reporting from the Curls parking lot, Scuzz. That's absolutely awesome. I will be right in that area in just a little bit, not too long from now. Musgrave up the seam and Watson on the 9 is a defensive nightmare. Again, more options for Green Bay, more speed on the field, more things that the defense has to worry about. We have seen at times Musgrave up the seam, draw double safeties, and you get one-on-one on the outside. You see Watson on the outside, draw double teams, and that opens up things in the middle. It just is more options, more toys to play with for Matt LaFleur. And you know what I love? More toys to play with for Matt LaFleur. The more you can give him, the more he's going to utilize it, the better Green Bay is going to be. Do you like Jaden Reed on teams, or did we just keep Nixon back there on both kick and punt return? I actually am not a huge Nixon guy on punt return. He's just too much of a wild card back there. Now, I don't love Reed as punt returner either, but I don't have another great option to suggest. And if I don't have something better to suggest, I would more often than not just say, all right, just keep it as Jaden Reed and just catch the ball and not try to do too much. And I think that for the most part is what Jaden tries to do. I don't love the player that leads the league in drops as the guy that's being your punt returner. Like, that's a little bit like an oxymoron, I guess, or just a little bit of a concern. But I don't have another great option. I prefer Reed over Nixon if I'm being honest. Now, if you need a big play, right? You're down by 7, there's 3 minutes left, and they're going to punt and you need a big play. I want Nixon back there. If you just need a spark, maybe it's 17-3, you're losing and they're punting away and you need something to get you going. I kind of like Nixon back there a little bit more. If you need that spark, go with Nixon. If you're in the lead, if it's more, in control or whatever, then I like Jaden Reed because I do think he's the more safe one, even though he has had some muffs back there. Again, I don't have a better suggestion at this point. I just hope they figure something out and that Jaden Reed continues to improve at it, because it doesn't make a ton of sense that he's not great at it, right? He's unbelievable after the catch and running in the open field and breaking tackles and making people miss. Like, you would you look at him and you immediately think that dude would be a dynamic punt returner. But it hasn't really been that way. And I can't really put my finger on why. But maybe it's just a matter of time, and maybe a few more reps back there will be what he needs to kind of get focused and be an epic returner. Because come special teams, that stuff can pay huge dividends, as we know with Desmond Howard in the past. Ben Sims might be, you know what? I bet he's not. And because here's the other thing. I bet Ben Sims is going to continue to get playing time. So I bet he's not, and he's going to be ready to go no matter what. I like Ben Sims. I really do. I think he's like the perfect number 3 tight end. And I think this just kind of restructures the tight end room in a perfect way. Musgrave is your 2, Kraft is your 1, and now you have Ben Sims as your 3. That feels just about perfect to me. Chicken, good to see you. Do you think the Omar Brown call-up is for Williams or Jay or Williams? It would be for Williams, would be my guess. Bryson, thank you for the super chat. I still greatly believe in Luke Musgrave. I still think he can be tight end 1, even though Tucker is a boss. It would be great to have 2 tight end 1s, right? Like, to have 2 guys that can go out there and be the caliber of a tight end 1. I think both of them have that potential. I don't think Tucker Kraft is ever relinquishing true tight end 1 in Green Bay while he exists in Green Bay. I don't think Musgrave can get to a point ahead of him. I would love if I was wrong, because can you imagine? Can you imagine if you had 2 tight ends, either Tucker Kraft or better? Sign me the hell up for that. But I think Musgrave kind of slots in 20, 30 snaps per game, number 2 tight end, but with the ability to be a number 1. And I also love that you don't have to go Tucker Kraft full time and can give him some time off, not having to play every snap. And now you can put Musgrave in there and still have a really good weapon at tight end. I think they're going to, I think they're going to balance each other incredibly well. And I'm excited to see how they work together. We really haven't seen a ton of Musgrave and Kraft together, because if you remember, it was Musgrave tight end 1 to start the year last year, and Kraft just wasn't ready. And if I remember, I think Kraft had some injury issues as well. And then as soon as Kraft gets up to speed and is ready to go, Musgrave has the injury and is basically out the remainder of the year. And then this year they start together, and then Musgrave immediately goes down with the injury. So it would be nice if we could finally see these 2 playing together and see what this actual 2 tight end set could potentially do in the long term, because I do think there are a ton of options for it to be successful. Izzy, thank you so much for being a member for 2 months. Fully confident for tonight. Sure to beat the Bears because they still suck. Vikes, meh. Would love a win, but happy with the playoffs. Yeah, I'm with you all the way there. I would like to see them beat Minnesota in Minnesota, but I'd rather they just go on a 4-game win streak come the playoffs. Like that to me is the most important thing at this point. So if they lose to Minnesota and Minnesota gets their big hurrah and they beat the Green Bay Packers, yay. And then Green Bay goes on a 4-game win streak in the playoffs, like that is more important to me. So I'm with you there, but it's always nice to beat Minnesota regardless of the situation. Happy holidays. I want to see Jordan Lovathon continue to take the next step forward and be elite. Keep the stakes to a minimum. He's playing awesome. I think he's going to continue that tonight. I think this is going to be a big game from Jordan. I could see a 4 or 5 touchdown game from Jordan tonight. I really could. I think this is going to be a really, really fun game at Lambeau. And speak it into existence. I think we're going to see Jordan continue to improve and really stamp himself as one of the truly elite quarterbacks in this league. Why is Tucker Kraft not a bigger part of this offense? Feels like he needs more targets, but we are good offensively, so maybe not. This is the age-old or just kind of the classic conversation we've been having all year, right? Josh Jacobs has been a huge part of this offense and quite frankly, the focal point of this offense. And when you have, 20 targets, 25 targets, and maybe 18 catches in a game, whatever it might be. And, maybe 4, 5, 6 of those are checkdowns or screens to running backs. Well, now all of a sudden you've got 14, 15-ish, targets or receptions left for all of your wide receivers and tight ends. And now you've got Musgrave back as well. Just a lot of mouths to feed in this offense. And you would love more Tucker Kraft. You'd love more Jaden Reed. You'd love more Dobbs. You'd love more Watson. You'd love more Jacobs. You'd love more Musgrave. You'd love more all of these guys. It's just really difficult to make it happen, especially when Green Bay's been pretty explosive on offense as well. You have a Green Bay team that hasn't had a ton of just sustained drives. It's a lot of times been explosive plays that have allowed them to get some of their points or short fields with the defense getting turnovers. And the defense has actually been a bit more bend but don't break, which kind of keeps the offense on the sideline sometimes as well. You add all of that up and you're just always going to be left wanting for more. That's okay. It's great that they have this many options. It's great that we want more of all of these guys. That's a good situation to be in. But yeah, I can understand. I would like to see more Kraft too, but I'd also like to see more of almost all those other guys. Tough to feed everyone in this offense. And like I said, that's a very, very good problem to have. Allison, thank you so much for gifting a membership. That is awesome of you. Thank you so much. And following up with, why did the schedule change for the Packers to play? I thought we were playing the Bears. Packers play the Bears in 2 weeks from now. So this week today is obviously Packers Saints. Next week is Packers Vikings. And then the very final week of the season is Packers Bears. Packers Bears schedule is not set yet. That could be a Saturday or a Sunday game and could be at a variety of different times. If I had to go out on a limb, my guess is it's probably a noon Sunday game, but it's all going to be dependent upon, any sort of competitive advantage or disadvantage. They could have all the NFC potential playoff teams play at the same time on the 325 slot, just so that there's not a team that gets to see what the other teams do ahead of time. There's a lot of different ways that could go, but we're just going to have to take it one step at a time. But nope, same schedule. Just the Vikings game at this point was flexed to 325 next week. And then the following week, we still don't have a date and time for the Bears game. Thank you for the super chat on that. Musgrave can be a decoy on the field to start things off. Haven't seen him in action in a while. I mean, just do what's natural for the play, right? You might need him to be a receiver. You might need him to be a blocker. You might need him to be a decoy. Do whatever you need to do. I trust Musgrave. If the Packers are clearing him and he's good to go and Musgrave says he's good to go, just use him. You're not going to, all of a sudden spam him, right? He's not all of a sudden going to get 10 targets in this game. But if you want to bootleg and roll out and he's in the flat and you can hit him and you can get him upfield, awesome. He can do that. There's a variety of different ways that you can utilize him, and maybe he's a red zone threat in this game, or maybe, like you said, maybe it's just a decoy, whatever the specific play call calls for. But whether it's a run block, a decoy, a reception, a whatever, Musgrave's capable of it, and I'm excited to see what he can do in this one. Would you offer a Sheed 3 years, $45 million, 30 guaranteed at the end of the season? Man, I'd have to look at the going rates for offensive linemen a little bit more close, but at the top of my head, that sounds like it would be a really good deal for Green Bay. I think 15 mil for a starting left tackle is probably on the slight side. Now you're guaranteeing a lot of it. 30 out of the 45 million would be a huge chunk guaranteed. But yeah, I would probably probably lean towards that deal for Sheed. Yeah, I would probably say yes. But again, I'd have to take a little bit more of a look at the going rate and those sort of things. But off the top of my head, my immediate instinct is yes. A local Packer fans is jacked about this team as many of my Packer transplants friends. What's the local vibe heading into the playoffs from folks in Green Bay? Go Pack. I am in this office the vast majority of my day. And when I'm not, I'm usually at a youth sporting event for one of my kids. And then I'm back in my office. That's pretty much my life right now. It's tough for me to have a great pulse on what the vibe of the city is, if I'm being totally honest. It seems like everyone's excited about it, but your guess is kind of as good as mine. I feel like I'm a transplant in Sobieski, Wisconsin, because I'm here talking to you guys the majority of the point or of the time. But yeah, it seems like it's good. I will say this. I don't think anything's ever going to get to the point of like when 96 happened and like 94, 95, 96, and the team was bad for so long in the 80s and the 70s. And then they became super relevant again. And they were really pushing towards the playoffs and the Super Bowl and things like that. That was a special time in Green Bay. Like you felt it. Like every car had Packers flags on it. Like it was like Packer fever caught the town. Anytime like divisional round sweatshirt came out, like everyone was wearing it. Everyone was wearing the hats. Like it felt like you were in Packer town. Like it was the whole city just eat, sleep, breathe Packers. And you get like that once in a while. It's just really hard, I think, to almost recapture that when you've had 30 plus years of sustained success and a lot of heartbreak along the way as well. I still think the team or like the city is very excited about this team and what they can become. I don't know that you're ever going to get to that really special set of circumstances where it was just like the entire city just lived and died based on what happened with the Packers. That's still close to that. It's still a special town and always celebrating the Packers, and the city is always bleeding green and gold. But I think there are differences, and I don't think it's quite to that level. But yeah, it seems like the city's excited. But again, I may not be the totally right person to ask about that either. Can we get to the real questions? What did Jordan Love get the O-line for Christmas? I haven't heard about that yet. That'll be an interesting one. Hopefully, maybe all Toyotas after his new sponsorship. Suppose that the seeding would be a 6 or 7 at this point. It's still 5 is possible. It's not out of the question yet. Not going to rely heavily on Musgrave. He's just coming off fresh of injury. Yeah, no, for sure. No question about it. Yes, I'll be in attendance on this one, Tulio. I will be in the press box. We'll go till probably a little bit around 5:30 here. And then as soon as we're done, I'm going to head over to the stadium, get there probably around 6 o'clock. By the time I'm parked, probably up in the press box by 6:15, 6:30 at the latest. Like to get there about an hour early. And yeah, should be good to go then. Kickoff at 7:15, attend the game, go to the press conference after. There's an outside chance. I've never left the press box early. There's an outside chance in this one. If it is like 38-3 Packers or something, and there's like 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and we're already in like garbage time, there's an outside chance because it's a late night and I've got to do a podcast and I've got to prep for the radio show in the morning. Like these night games mean like I'm going to go to bed at like 4 or 5 in the morning. So there's an outside chance I may get home to do the rewatch and start prepping for the podcast and the radio show tomorrow. Plus, I have to start getting all the stuff for like the next couple of days because we've got a ton of holiday stuff coming up, and I've got to get grades started and things like that. So there's a small outside chance. I don't think it'll happen, but like if they are up like 38-3, 8 minutes left, that I might try to get out of there early and maybe not attend the press conferences. But in all likelihood, it'll be attending the full game, going to the press conferences, then coming home, prepping for the podcast, prepping for the radio show, doing the rewatch, and then prepping for both shows. And then from there, recording the podcast, editing, uploading, and then probably in bed around 4:30 in the morning would be my guess. Radio show starts at 8, and then we'll go from there. Then a lot of tape watching tomorrow. Try to get as many grades done as I can, and then enjoy Christmas Eve with the family. That's the plan as of right now. Go Pack, go! Bring all the top teams. We are ready. Love it, Daniel. There was a time last year when we were so excited to have Kraft and Musgrave on the field at the same time. Just saying, no, for sure. No question about it. I'm excited to see that together. Packer, no team to mess with in the playoffs. I agree. I don't think anyone's going to be excited to see Green Bay. You should be Gandalf for Halloween next year, Andy. I'm not that old yet, Kyle, but thank you very much for that idea. We're going to shock everybody in these playoffs, just like 2010, 2011. I don't think this team can shock anyone. I think everyone sort of expects and understands just how good this team is and how good they can be. But Yeah, I don't think they can shock anyone. Even if they won the Super Bowl, I don't be like, wow, Green Bay came out of nowhere. Nobody saw that coming. But I'll take the result either way, whether it's a shock or not. I will very much take the result. They might have to keep Fitzpatrick around as the fourth option tight end or as a float on active roster. We'll see. They could keep him around. They don't need the roster spot for anything as of yet. If Lloyd comes back, then I think Fitzpatrick would probably be the one that they let go in that situation, but probably bring him back to the practice squad and could activate him at any time. He would still have 3 call-ups available. And we'll just kind of take it one step at a time to see if there's any injuries in this game that could open up different spots. If Lloyd's even ready to come back, it just, again, these things all get taken kind of one thing at a time and then kind of go from there. Packers, no team to play with. Bring it. Go Pack, go. Let's see. Spree for all. Are we talking about like the candy sprees? That would be amazing. I love sprees. But when you said you made a live stream, I thought you meant like you were trying to compete with me, Spree, of like, I made a live stream. Everyone come listen to me instead. I'm like, come on, Spree. But then I'm like, oh, you actually made this one, which now I understand. And I'm glad that you are here. God bless everyone. Go Pack, go. Excited to see you on the Paul Farmington show. Those guys are great. Yes, I will be on there later this week. I think I'm recording with them on Thursday. Run the score up 40-10. No gas. No gas, no brakes. I think we need gas. No brakes, but I think we need some gas. Rashawn Gary made very little noise last week and looked like a worse pass rusher than Enagbare and Cox. Is he the best pure pass rusher on the team? I still believe that he is. Last week was a little bit pedestrian, but he did have that big sack in the game. I still think he's been much better over the last 6, 7, 8 games to the point where he's this dominant pass rusher that we are expecting him to be. No, but I still think he's a value add on this team right now. I would like to see more out of him, though. No question about it. Run to the Super Bowl starts tonight. I mean, technically, wouldn't it have started like last week because they won last week and then, this week and the following week and they make the run? But I'm just messing with the ice cold gaming. I agree. Beatdown time. Go Pack, go. 41-17 for Tulio. Press box for me tonight. This is a red alert, make or break fantasy moment. Romeo or Christian? I'll let the chat answer this one. Who should he go with, chat? I don't have a great feel for that either way. But best of luck in your fantasy matchup. Barely won mine yesterday. That was a very, very close call. Packers win 49-7. That's a lot of touchdowns. I like it. Regarding the Lions or anybody with the number 1 seed, there's no guarantee. The Packers have had the first round bye and it didn't do anything for them. I agree. Just go out and beat the crap out of anyone in front of you. I like to think the Packers are going to win this one easily. Their offense and defense has stepped up big time compared to last season. They're ready for this one. I really think so. They're playing really good football, complimentary, all 3 phases. I don't think New Orleans can hang with them. There's just very few ways for New Orleans to win this one. Probably the only one would be Green Bay making a ton of mistakes, and I just don't see that happening. Could Jordan Morgan be the left tackle of the future if Sheed continues to be solid but never develop anymore? First of all, I wouldn't argue that Sheed is just solid and not developing. I think he's a really good left tackle. I mean, he's probably a top 16 left tackle in this league. I mean, that's a starting half of the league left tackle and probably a top 30 tackle in the league. Like, that's pretty damn good. I mean, you're not going to have all pros at every position. I think he's a good player. If you needed Morgan to play left tackle and Sheed was out or hurt or just signed a massive contract with some other team and Green Bay couldn't match it, sure, I think Morgan has the potential to be that, but he has a ways to go to develop into a really good starting offensive lineman. I would take Sheed over Morgan easily right now at left tackle. Martin says 31-13 Packers. Want to see some Willis in the game today? Yes, hopefully late. Let's be careful what we wish for and how we wish for it. We don't need a monkey's paw situation here. But yes, I want Willis in this game as well, but only because Jordan Love and the Packers are up like 45-10 or something. No update on Marshawn Lloyd, but Matt is basically said kind of just don't expect anything, that they're not going to rule anything out. But I would go into this remainder of the season not expecting anything out of Lloyd. And if you get anything, it's kind of an added bonus at this point. Has Zach Tom been staying consistent throughout the course of this year? I haven't been watching him. Yeah, he's the most consistent player on the team. I do think there's been a little bit of a struggle with the bull rush and a power rush as of late, but that's kind of been common for him. It's almost Bakhtiari-esque of that's kind of his one kryptonite from time to time, but he's still been awesome. He's had a really, really nice season. I was kind of interested to see Wentz in for Mahomes the other day. He could either light the other team up or hand them the ball and say, go for 6, nothing in between. Wentz has had such an interesting career that probably needs to be studied at some point. Yes, Demario Davis is still playing for the Saints. Very, very good player. One of the more underrated players over the last 8-9 years or so. He's been phenomenal. I've not seen him too much this year, so I can't speak to how he's playing this year, but in his career, he's been awesome. Couple play action bombs tonight. I will take that, Noah. Evan Williams is banged up. Whether he plays or not is still up in the air, but my guess is that he will not, based on the Omar Brown call up from the practice squad. Surprised to see Jones signed a Minnesota practice squad and not the active roster. Yeah, I wonder if that's just short term, and eventually if he gets that active roster spot. I believe Daniel Jones cannot make any money from Minnesota. I think it's offset by what New York would pay him anyway. I think, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure on that. So for Jones, it really doesn't matter if he's on the active or the practice squad because they have enough games to call him up if need be anyway. There's not really a difference at this point in time because he can't. I don't think he can make any more money anyway. Because again, I think it would be offset by what he's already making with the Giants. But don't quote me on that 1,000,000%, but I think that's the case. So Daniel Jones wanted to be in Minnesota. There's no, again, real differentiator between 53 or practice squad for him. So that's probably the reason is it just, quite frankly, doesn't matter. I agree. I think the running backs, the three running backs are really good. But again, anytime you can have more options, that's not necessarily a bad thing either. 30 points in 4 straight. Tonight is a perfect game to put it all together and drop 40 plus. Go Pack Go. I am all for that, Matt. Going to my first ever game at Lambeau for the Bears game. Hoping to see at least a half of Jordan in the starters, even if our seat is set. Either way, super excited. Sam, enjoy the hell out of that. There's never, even if it's all Malik Willis, all backups, all whatever, never a bad day at Lambeau. It'll be so worth it. You'll enjoy every second of it. And sometimes maybe a little less stress can be a nice thing as well for your first game where you can just enjoy the atmosphere in the game. And there's not anything major riding on it. But either way, like I said, you'll enjoy the hell out of it. Who's the most underrated player on the team? I'd say either Nixon or Sheed. Who's the most overrated? I'd say Elton or Clark. Underrated, Sheed is a good one. Trying to think who else might. I think Sean Ryan has been pretty underrated so far this year. He's having a really nice year. Slayton's had a pretty nice few weeks. That might be one that's slightly underrated. And Nixon's a pretty good one too. I'll go Sheed. I think Sheed's a good answer there. But actually, I'm going to take that. I'm going to go Sean Ryan. I think Sean Ryan's been a little bit underrated. Overrated? I mean, I think people recognize that Kenny's not having like this unbelievable season. So I think there's a little bit of an understanding there. I'm trying to think. I don't know that anyone's like massively overrated at this point. I think everyone kind of has a good understanding of where all these guys are. Yeah, I don't have a great answer for that. I think kind of, again, everyone has a pretty good feel for what's going on the field. I don't see anyone being like, oh, this guy's awesome. And I'm like, oh, you sure about that? Again, I think there's a pretty good pulse on this team overall. So I don't really have one for overrated, but yeah, underrated. I'll go Sean Ryan on that one. Baby QB, thank you so much for that. And to you and your family as well. Eagles are overrated. I think they're a really good team. Overrated or not, maybe, but I think they're a really good football team. They'll be a pain to play for anyone in the playoffs for sure. Hearing rumors about Hafley for head coach, it wouldn't shock me if he got interviews, but I don't think that he's going to get a job. But hey, crazier things have happened. That's for sure. Feel like all the top NFC teams are beatable. Romo says the Packers playing the sneaky team. Go Packers. Yeah, I agree with you. I think all the NFC teams are beatable, but I think Green Bay is in that category as well. And I think that's come up when they've played good teams. I don't think there's a super heavy favorite from this field. I really don't. I don't know if Washington, Atlanta, Tampa Bay can get there, but I think anyone can knock off anyone. I really, really do. I think this is going to be a really, really fun playoffs all the way around. Packers need Hafley as their defensive coordinator. I mean, here's the thing. If Hafley were to get a head coaching job, assuming that Robert Saleh also does not get a head coaching job, Robert Saleh is your defensive coordinator. So while I would like to see Hafley stay, it's not like the worst case scenario, right? Like Robert Saleh would be a hell of a defensive coordinator in Green Bay next year if Hafley got hired away. No guarantees. And Saleh could get paid more somewhere else to be a defensive coordinator somewhere else, but I think he would choose to stay with Green Bay and stay with Matt LaFleur in that situation. Never quite know for sure, but it's a nice insurance policy to have just in case something were to happen to Hafley where he would get a head coaching job. Like I said, I think in that situation, you'd be looking at Robert Saleh, new defensive coordinator in Green Bay. I probably not for a while, Logan, and maybe not ever. You never quite know, right? Like those are things that you only ask for in certain situations. Mina was awesome enough to reach out to me based on the Twitter interaction that took place and said, hey, if you want to do this, let's do it. But that's one that you only pull out or ask for on really special occasions or something like that, and you don't try to make anything too crazy out of it. And hopefully then in a couple of years or whatever it is, when something awesome is going on and we want to talk to Mina Kimes, hopefully she's kind enough to say yes again. She was awesome though. It was great talking to her. And you never know, you never quite know. And who knows who the next big special guest would be. That'd be cool too. Maybe it's somebody different, but I'm just thankful that she did it once, and I'm not gonna force anything more on that one. That was a really cool conversation to have with her. Who is left on the Saints offense to be worried about? Kind of like I talked in the pregame show today. I'm not worried about anything from a Saints standpoint. This is all about the Packers. Just go out and play your best brand of football, and nothing on the Saints matters, quite frankly. Rattler, I can't say he wouldn't be good against the Packers defense. Maybe, but I just don't see that necessarily happening. Milwaukee Bucks made it easy to just watch the Packers tonight. Yeah, there's I think everyone's out, right? Except Middleton. Giannis is out. Dame is out. Don't have to maybe keep too much of an eye on that one. Our D-line will bully the Saints. I'm feeling it. Sign me up, Tulio. That'd be awesome. Yeah, McManus has been awesome. Knock on wood. Cooper will become the Nick Collins of linebackers. Chris, I like that a lot. I really, really do. I think that's a really smart comp. I've been saying I'd rather play the Rams than the Bucks first round, and last night showed why. Bucks lost, but imagine that Vita Vea in a different gear. Is there some history Green Bay didn't want him or something? No, there's no. Tampa just had an early draft pick in that year's draft. I don't think Green Bay had an option to get Vita Vea ever. But yeah, he's a really good player. But the Rams have got good players too. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Matthew Stafford, Kyron Williams. They've got some ballers on offense, and Jared Verse is a hell of a rookie defensive lineman too. So you just kind of have to be careful what you wish for. Either way, it's going to be a tough matchup. Either way, you have to go out and play your best brand of football. Be a shame if all that time in the freezer results in the Saints players having pneumonia. Green Bay doesn't need pneumonia to win this game. They can win it straight up. Andy, straight up, you're the best. Thanks for covering the best team in football, Chris. You're super kind to say that, and you are more than welcome. I am more than happy to do it and very blessed to be able to do it. And thank you all for putting up with me and allowing me to do this every single day. If I'm an alien, I want to introduce myself at Lambeau Field. Herman Andy et al. 2024. Make it, make it a quote. Listen, if this does happen tonight, now I do think I get some credit for this, right? But let's just get a Packers win. We can worry about aliens later. Just do not return punts. Yeah, maybe. I don't think it's been that bad. I think the special team's been pretty damn good so far this year. So I don't think we need to get it to that point. But I understand your idea there. All good. There's an alien on the field. His last name is Cooper. Well played, Jarrett. If the team wins tonight, do you see the teams easing the load with Jacobs the next two games or keeping him ramped up? Is this a chance to keep evaluating Wilson and Brooks? Quite frankly, Bill, I'd like to see that lessening of the load start happening tonight. I'm 18 touches for Jacobs. Sounds about right. I really don't need it past that. They should be able to put away New Orleans with no more than 18 touches for Jacob. Like, it shouldn't need to be that much. Like, quite frankly, Jacobs could be out in this game. I'd like Green Bay's chances a ton still, but I'd like to see it 18 or fewer. Even 15 would be nice. And same thing with the next couple of games, and maybe not even play him against Chicago if you don't need to. Yeah, I mean, tough to say. He's certainly has the speed. I don't know how much I would trust him. Clearly, if Green Bay thought that was a good option, they'd put him back there. I think he could be a good kick returner, but I don't want to see Nixon getting taken off of kick returns. But I don't know. It's a possibility, but I think if Green Bay felt good about that, that's maybe something they would have tried already. Cooper very much is a freak. Andy, I'm down 75 points in fantasy with Love, Reed, Kraft, and McManus. Good luck is all I'll say, Nemo. Good luck. When you went through the all 22 game tapes this year, is there a performance that stood out to you that we wouldn't have noticed without the regular coverage? I'm sure, but I would have talked about it in the grades videos that I've done. I'd have to look back at it a little bit more in detail, Minnesota. Nothing that strikes me off the top of my head. I think that Jaden Reed performance in the very first game against Philly is one that still stands out to me. Now, obviously, a lot of people saw that live and in real time, but that's one that kind of sticks with me. The Edgerrin Cooper game last week sticks with me. I'm sure there's a couple out there that if I look back at a little bit more, but that's why I kind of go through those grades videos every week and talk about who really stood out that you may not have noticed for good or bad when you went and watched the initial game tape. No, not until an hour and a half before kickoff. So 5:45 should be kickoff or inactive, 5:45 Central. We don't know if Jair is going to be out or not. We went over that. Just received a Williams jersey for Christmas. Might need to hold off on wearing it until he plays. Not the worst idea, Ryan. Maybe not the worst idea. Nope. Again, 5:45. Packers have McKinney, Anderson, Nixon, Valentine, Rochelle, King, Williams, Wilson, Cooper, Hopper, McDuffie, Clark, Wyatt, Gary, LVN, etc. Alexander playing. I don't know why we're labeling all or listing all the players, but yeah, they have a good group of players there. Daryl, thought the Packers were playing last time I looked. They were playing the Bears. Yeah, so tonight again, Allison, they are playing the Saints, and then next week again the Vikings, and then the Bears at the end. There we go. Loaded with playmakers. I agree. Ideal scenario: Packers win out, Vikings lose out, and Green Bay opens the playoffs in Atlanta. Yep. But again, I'm not afraid of anyone. Go out and just win. Just win, baby. Just win. Totally agreed, Tulio. 13 personnel tonight? Maybe a Sims Musgrave craft package. Sure. Yeah, I'd be cool with that. 21 touchdown, 1 interception. Loves numbers. All right. I don't know if you're talking about tonight. I will take that tonight. If that's the situation, Daniel, I don't think you're talking about tonight, but I'd have to look back as to like what that is. That his stretch of play since the bye. 21 seems like a lot. It can't be 21. I don't know, but I'm sure that maybe there's a string of games there or something. Omar Brown legacy game. Justice, we're not allowed to talk about practice squad players because they immediately get cut when that happens. But yes, I'm all for it. I'm excited to see Omar. I don't want to necessarily see him on defense, but hey, if we get some late Omar Brown on defense, I'm all for it. I would love to see it. I really do think Love and Kraft have the potential to become a duo like Brady and Gronk or Mahomes and Kelsey. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's bump it just a little bit. Those are, two of the best tight end quarterback combos in the history of the NFL. I'm not sure they're going to get quite to that level, but they can be really freaking good. And right now, that's all I care about. How to make your work Monday better. Packers playing on Monday Night Football gives you excitement throughout the day. Totally agreed. Bullard, Williams, Oladapo, and Brown. Packers feasted on 2024 safety class. Well played. I love it. Is it bread and butter on O for Matt LaFleur with the Vikings on deck scouting tonight? No, they'll go out and get this win first, and they'll throw some new stuff out there. And like that's the thing too, is like you don't necessarily want to just go bread and butter in this situation. You would love to give some exotic looks for other teams to have to think about too. And I think the more you can throw out there, the more it can potentially confuse upcoming opponents of like, oh, were they just running that because it was the Saints and they knew they were going to win big? Or are they running that because they want to practice that for upcoming opponents? And you can kind of mess with teams that way as well. Starters won't even play the fourth quarter. Packers 48, Saints 9. Love it. Alexander, how is he doing? We're about to find out in about 20 minutes. Yes, they did make Omar Brown active. Hottest year for losses and nowhere close to competing for a 1 seed. NFC is very top heavy. NFL is very top heavy, quite frankly. I wish I knew how good Musgrave was. Have not seen anything yet. He has the ability to be very talented. He has a lot that he still needs to work on. I think he's perfectly set in that tight end 2 role, and they don't need anything out of him right now. And anything you kind of get is an added bonus. And that's a good place for him to be as he's coming back from injury. Oh, Jair is inactive for Tom Pelissero. All right. Well, there we go. Let's see. No Jair or Bullard. Yep, there we go. All right. Packers Jair Alexander will be inactive tonight per source. The wait continues for the former Pro Bowler who has missed much of the season. Yeah, bummer. Very big bummer. But what can you do? All right. So, let me rephrase that. It's a bummer, but it's the right move if he's not 100% there yet. There's no reason to rush him back in this game. So Valentine Stokes on the outside, Nixon in the slot. My guess is probably Xavier McKinney and Zane Anderson at safety, but we'll wait and see what that means for Evan Williams and if he's going to be active in this game or not. No need to play him tonight. He tore his PCL. It was a partially torn PCL, but yes. Save him for the playoffs. I would like to see him get a little bit of time pre-playoffs if possible, but again, give him the time that he needs. That's the more important thing at this point. Sure. I wish we could all know who's always going to be hurt ahead of time before we give out huge contracts. What are you going to do? Number 24 is so awesome. Liked him last year when he got the nod. I found it pretty awesome that he got his first pick. He was so excited that he took the ball out of the end zone. Yeah, you'd like to see him keep that one in, or at least have a little bit more ball control in that situation. But I can give some accident forgiveness for a guy being super excited for his very first pick. Again, maybe, but he's a pro. He's a pro's pro. He knows how to get active and ready for game days. When he's ready to go, he'll be ready to go. And I'm not super concerned about that. Yeah, he'll be fine as long as he can play. Maybe Jair can finally play against the good teams and stop leaving defense out to dry. Again, he's hurt. I like it. It never makes sense to me dragging players who are hurt. Never ever. I don't get it. If you don't think Jair wants to be out there, if you remember, he stayed on the bye week and did all the rehab he possibly could to get back for that Bears game. They overextended it. Probably shouldn't have played in that game. That's a poor decision, probably on everyone's part, Jair and the Packers' part. But like, he's trying everything he can to get out there to play. I don't know what you want him to do. I've just never understood that. And if you don't think every other team are the 48 players that are on the Lions injury report just leaving them out to dry? What do you want them to do? They're hurt. It's a violent game. You got to get used to it. Like, you just have to get used to it. You will literally be able to do this every year. Oh, so-and-so is hurt again. Yeah. Welcome to the NFL. Every single team, every single year has guys on IR. Deal with it. I can't fathom for the life of me, like, oh, F Jair. Like, okay, if that makes you feel better. Like, Christian Watson, do you think now, like, oh, just now Christian Watson is like, oh, you know what? Now I'll play through injuries and now I'll play hurt, or now I'll just decide to stay healthy. He's just unlucky his first couple of seasons. There's no other way to put it. There's nobody, I'm sure, that's more frustrated with his inability to play than Jair. And I'm sure the Packers are frustrated. And it's okay to be frustrated that he's not. I just said it's frustrating that he's not out there. That's totally fine. But like, to say screw the dude or F the dude, or that he's bailing on the team or leaving the defense out to dry. Okay, cool. He wants to be out there. I promise you. He's doing everything he can to be out there. I promise you. Jay only played 10 snaps since October, and yeah, probably shouldn't have played him. Tried to push it back too hard because he wanted to play. Give it the time to rest. Green Bay's doing the smart thing here. Man, I'm so scared we're going to have to go to Philly in round 1. Don't be scared. Go beat the best teams. That's what you need to do come playoff time. Agreed, Daniel. Green Bay can absolutely beat Philly. Let's see. He's hurt. That's what's going on with 23. He's hurt. Let's see. No Marshawn Lloyd tonight. He is still not on the active list, not on the 53. Do the Packers pull a fake fumble just like the Lions? Technically, we set them up for it. Now, I don't think that's going to be something tonight. Maybe come playoffs. I still think there's some trick plays up Green Bay's sleeve, but probably not tonight. You don't waste those necessarily against the Saints, is what I would kind of say. Do players get any additional practice squad call-ups for the playoffs? I'd have to go back and look at that, Ron. I have to review my notes on practice squad call-ups for playoffs. Did I see the picture of Jordan with the Toyotathon? I very much did. I will get to all the super chats before I go, I promise. I'm going to try to get through as many of these. All right, we probably have to get to them now. So I'm going to get to that. See if I can get to a couple of member chats really quick. You work some long hours, Andy. Maybe Santa should bring you an intern for a little help. We have a lot of people. Obviously, Tyler does a great job helping, and then we've got a lot of people that record the podcast as well. But listen, I wouldn't be rather doing anything else. 3 picks, 6 sacks, calling my shot. Go Pack, go! Love it, loving football. On my way up to Green Bay for the game in the snowstorm. Loyal fan, love it. B Brown, go Christian. No gas, no brakes. It's funny when the team starts dropping like fries. Is that the time off? I'm not sure what that means, Allison. How much do you think the Pack plays Sean Ryan? Pays or plays? Sean Ryan will be in there every snap tonight. Yeah. How much they pay? Oh, pays. Yeah, I don't know. I think they give him probably through the next year and see where Morgan fits in and things like that. But if he keeps playing well, I think they will absolutely try to get him extended. But they're going to have some contracts that they're going to have to figure out: wide receiver, offensive line, Sheed, Zach Tom, Sean Ryan, Dobbs, Watson, etc. They're going to have to kind of figure those out over the next couple seasons here. Need 7-102 from Tucker Kraft to win in fantasy. How are we feeling? Not great, Alex, but not impossible. Not impossible. What does the AI say? AI says Packers win in this one is what they said, but they've got a few wrong now. So it's no longer perfect, but they still have them winning in this game. I hope you can keep Jacobs. He's a good player. Yeah, he'll be back next year. No questions about that. Andrew, good to see you. My friend, does Luigi ship pizzas other places in the country? Asking for a friend. They do not ship pizzas elsewhere in the country. So no, there's only the six states that they're in right now. They do not ship further than that, unfortunately. Maybe something they will do eventually. Dennis, careful with big money for She dropped in draft because some team said his knee was a mess and would not draft. Maybe, but he's been good and has certainly been pretty darn healthy for them so far. But they'll be aware of that. Likes, more likes. Thank you for that, Daniel. I mean, I hope we can keep Jacobs for next year. They will. They'll keep him next year. Enjoy the game tonight, Andy. Try and get a little sleep. It's going to be a fun one. Another big night for Cooper. That'd be awesome. And I'll get some sleep. Don't worry about me. We're right around the corner by the time, hopefully hopefully the Packers are playing through February, but we're still at the end of this thing, and there'll be more sleep around the corner in a month or two here. We had Braden Narvison for 6 games. Yeah, he just got cut again today, I think, by the Titans. Kimberly's stupid question of the week. What is the spinner motion people are talking about? That's the plays in shotgun where they're kind of faking it one way and then coming back and bringing, sorry, as I knock my desk over here, and bringing and spinning back the opposite way to hand it off. So there's a whole spinner series that they do with kind of some of the fake handoffs where they can fake it inside and then spin around and hand it on a end around or reverse or whatever. So there's a variety of different things that they can do, but that's the spinner stuff that they're talking about. Not to be confused with a John Cena spinner championship belt. I hope we can keep Christian Watson at least for 18 years like we did with Devontae Adams, or what the Raiders took Adams for. I wish Devontae Adams was in Green Bay for 18 years. Unfortunately, that was not the case. But Christian Watson, that'll be a big decision for Green Bay coming up over the next year or so. What did you think about the Tampa Bay Dallas game last night? I thought they fought hard for Mike McCarthy, and I thought that was pretty damn cool. Rest number 8 after 18 rush. Yeah, 18 touches. I don't really need to see more than that from Josh Jacobs in this one. In your expert gambling opinion, how likely are the Packers to cover the spread? Seems a crazy line, but damn if the Packers haven't beat up on bad teams. I'm taking Green Bay over 14 and a half, whatever it is. Like I said, 41-10 Green Bay, but never trust me when it comes to that stuff. Could Love's first half of the season, ups and downs, been him trying to see what he could and could not get away with, or was it more injury or scheme? Also, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all. Go Pack Go. I think it was injury more than anything else. Jordan Love, Toyota partnership. Heck yes, you love to see it. See, Alexander will be rusty, maybe. Ohio Mike, thank you for the super chat. Jair will be ready to bring Strap City to Minnesota. Click it. That'd be nice. That'd be very nice. Strap City. Allison, thank you so much for that. You are super, super kind. I appreciate you a ton. Just because he's hurt this year, we'll still keep him next year. He should be healed up by next year. Before the football season comes around again. Do you think he's ready then? I don't want us to get rid of them just because he's injured. Are you talking about, I'm assuming you're talking about Jair. I think they're going to have a very interesting decision with Jair Alexander. And I think, Allison, quite frankly, not to sort of bail out on your question when you're doing a $50 super chat here, but quite frankly, your guess is as good as mine. I think it's a true coin flip. I think they're going to have to weigh out how many games that they think he can play towards, with how good of a player that he is. Do they still think he's playing at the top of his game when he's in there? If so, then it might still be worth the risk. If not, then you might want to go in a different direction. I lean right now towards, I think Jair will not be back, but I really legitimately do think it's a coin flip at this point. I like a revenge tour, beat Philly, beat Detroit, beat Minnesota in order. F them other teams, go Pack Go. I love it. B Brown. Cooper DeJean would be really nice right now. Sure. Oh, thank you, Andy. You're the best. You are more than welcome. Get a win, but don't play all your cards. Going to need it for Minnesota. They won't need to in this one. All right, last one. Andy True, or maybe I'll get Roberts as well. Andy True, false statement. Packers are the best team in the world and Galaxy even. Hard to disagree with that, Marbly. I'm going to go True. Andy, love your insight and content. Just lucky to see games down here in Florida. Miss my Packer publications. Thank God I have you. Go Pack Go. Robert, kind of you to say happy holidays to you and your family, and appreciate the kind words. What's that? DeJean getting roasted for a game-winning touchdown yesterday? I'd have to go back and look at that. But either way, it'll be Green Bay, hopefully picking them apart come playoff time. All right, friends, I do got to get to, I don't know if you know, the Packers play the Saints tonight, 7:15. I do got to get over there. I'll try to get it there as quickly as I can, start covering it for you. Obviously, I'll be there by kickoff. That'll be easy. But enjoy the game tonight, everyone. Should be a really fun one. Thank you all for the super chats. You're the absolute best. I will not have a live post-game show tonight. I will not be doing anything live over the next 2 days, with it being Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Pack-A-Day Live, I tentatively have set for Thursday night. We'll do a members Q&A on Friday, tentatively in the morning. I think 11:30, somewhere around there. And then nothing Saturday, and then pre and post game on Sunday. is where you will catch me next. Have a unbelievable night. Have a safe, happy, and fruitful holiday. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate. I'll talk to you before the New Year's. Appreciate you all so freaking much. Let's enjoy the game tonight. As always, go Pack, go.